Coach, what can you tell us about the status of Mack Wilson? How's he doing? And if he's going to be out, how long do you think that's going to be?
Yeah, unfortunate injury there for Mack. Feel for him, talked to him last night. I really don't know the extent and how long this will be, but I'll just make sure we defer to the medical staff.
And what options, if he is going to be out for an extended period of time, could you talk about some of the guys you have that could fill in, and will you look outside the organization for some help?
Yeah, Darryl, I'd go right down the roster and just kind of tell you the next men up. And like we talked about this group before, I think there's a lot of good youth out there, and I think there's some really athletic players, and we're excited about those guys. And don't feel good about the injury to Mack. I feel for him, but at the same time, that's what happens in this game, and it opens up opportunities for others. So I wouldn't necessarily say one person over the other at this moment. And then to the second part, I mean, that's Andrew and his staff are looking at every position every day. So that's something that they will work through.
Nate Ulrich, your line is open.
Hey, Kevin, what's next for Mack Wilson? What are you guys waiting on to find out what the status is going to be?
I would say we're just waiting on the full extent from the medical staff.
And do you have any updates on any of your other injured guys, Nick Chubb or anybody else?
No real updates, Nate. Nothing of note.
So nobody's coming back to practice?
Not today.
Tony Grossi, you're up.
Hey, Kevin, Major League Baseball is playing 60 games, so they calculated each game is comparable to 2.8 in a normal season. I'm wondering if you guys calculated what each practice is worth compared to the whole off-season, reps that you ordinarily would get?
We did calculate the reps, Tony, and what we found is without those preseason games, you're not traveling the day before, so you're not having a quick walkthrough, getting on an airplane. So we're going to try to get this as close to a normal season's worth of preseason reps without those games. But I don't have the exact number for you.
It's fair to say one practice is worth more than one in the past.
I was a communications major, Tony, so.
Gotcha.
With that, we're going to go to Scott Petrick.
Hey, Coach. So you do not know yet if Mack will need surgery?
I don't. I wouldn't speculate. I'm going to wait till I get all the information. So I really can't say.
Okay. And is Nick Chubb been back in the building since the concussion?
Yes.
Okay. And I got one more on Mack. It looked like he was with the second team yesterday. Why did you feel the need to demote him given the hit, I guess? And was it going to be a one-day kind of punishment?
Yeah, Scott, I'm not going to get into those type of things. I'll kind of leave those internal.
Tom Withers, you have our next question.
Nothing wrong with communication, majors. Hey, do you find, Kevin, I know you guys tried to cram all you could into the virtual off season. Are guys struggling to get a grasp of the offense, or you're about where you thought you would be at this point?
I'd say we're about where you think, Tom. You can have as many virtual meetings as you want, but until you physically get out there and do it, you're going to make mistakes. So our big thing is we like to identify and correct. I think some of the best teaching moments are when someone does something wrong and you get to teach off of it. There's a great examples of that over the years, and really that's where you gain a lot of ground. But that doing part is obviously critical to the learning part.
Case Keenum seemed to take a little issue with the idea that maybe the defense would be ahead of the offense so early in camp, maybe more of a pride thing than anything else. But do you typically find, Kevin, that early on that the defense does have a little bit of an advantage because of the installations and some other things?
I mean, I think that's generally the case, and I think all of us going for years, that's always something that you hear being said. The only thing I would add to that is we are really teaching systems on either side. So our coaches aren't scheming against each other. I want our guys to compete every play, obviously, and take every rep and try to win their one-on-one. But at the end of the day, we are truly teaching on either side and not trying to determine who's winning practice.
Thanks.
We'll go to Jeff Shadell for our next question. Jeff, your line is now open.
Hey, Kevin, you would be good at this since you were at one time a quarterback coach. Could you talk about that importance of your two main quarterbacks especially, but to have a real bond in that quarterback room among the quarterbacks?
Yeah, the best rooms I've been a part of, those guys really, they challenge each other, but there's great respect among them in that room. I think we got a really strong room here, and it's led by Alex Van Pelt. I think he does a great job with those guys. So I think it's always better when you're competing and pushing each other, but when ultimately you're in a place of respect and trying to make sure that everything you do is in the best interest of the team.
We have time for these last three questions. Daryl, Mary Kay, and Scott. Daryl, your line is open.
Kevin, you mentioned how you're still in like a teaching phase here in training camp. Obviously, with no preseason, you pretty much have to do your preseason within the constraints of your training camp. My question is when will you maybe get into a little bit more of a preseason mode in camp?
Yeah, Daryl, what we'll do is kind of get through our install, if you will, on the offense and the defensive side. And then as coaches, we'll huddle up and start to streamline our schemes as we work into the week one of Baltimore. So that there's a rhythm to making sure that we're still building the foundation, making sure that everybody's sound in what they understand and then what they're doing. And then we'll kind of pivot towards what we think makes sense from a personnel standpoint and from what the guys are really showing that they have a firm grasp of.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Go to Mary Kay.
Hey, Coach. I think I saw at least 3 interceptions in practice yesterday, including one by Denzel Ward on that deep ball from Baker to Odell. So just wondering how the emphasis on those takeaways is going, and are you seeing some of it come to fruition on the field?
I was losing you for a little bit, Mary Kay, but basically, I think to talk about takeaways, it's definitely a huge emphasis of our defense. And I think by and large, the guys are doing a very good job of ball searching, getting their hands on balls. That's what we preach. And then offensively, I mean, you have to learn from every interception. You have to learn from every fumble. All interceptions are not created equal, but I think there were some opportunities yesterday that we can definitely learn from, and that's what we're doing here at training camp.
Thank you.
We'll close out with Scott Petrick. Scott, your line's open.
Hey, Kevin, where can you see Case having an influence on Baker?
On the practice field, in the meeting room, in the weight room. I mean, all over. I think, Case, I've been around him, so I know him. He's a son of a coach. He loves this game, and he wants to win, and he wants to be a part of winning. And I know that relationship obviously is so important between the starter and the backup. And I can tell you that he's eager to help this team win in any way he can, and that's supporting Baker in any way he can.
Because he spent time with you, can you see him ahead of Baker in the kind of learning of the system?
Well, because I spent time with him, that's where all these grays in my beard come from. I need to make sure noted. Case has been in a bunch of different systems, and I think he can apply a lot of those learned lessons in each of these, or in each of those into this system. So I think with all of our players that have come from different places, the terminology may be different, but the general philosophy sometimes is the same on a given play. So Case is an example where he can give good color to a certain concept and how it's worked for him in the past. And that really goes for a lot of the veterans and for all the coaches as well.